Hello, Tormenta FC Academy. Great to have everybody on the Zoom tonight. We're also recording this so you can see this later. Those of you that are on, if you have any questions, please hold them to the end. My name is Brad. I'm the vice president of the Academy, and it's great to have you on tonight. I'd like to introduce Jim Robbins, who's in charge of our Girls Select program and also our head coach for the USLW League team. He's got a unique perspective of college recruiting and where he's put people into college as a coach and his own children. So it's a fantastic opportunity for us to see what he did really well and some of the things we have to look out for as we're looking forward to placing our players on a college campus in a soccer program. With that, Jim, I'll let you take it away and look forward to learning myself in this process.
Oh, great. Thank you, Brad. And thank you, everyone, for jumping on the call again tonight. Similar to the session that we did earlier in the fall, if at any point anyone has any questions, feel free to jump in or figure out how to signal in for Brad or myself. And we'll do whatever we can to answer your questions here. If it's something that you want to ask a little bit later off the call, feel free to email me directly. I think all my contact information is on the website, and I'll do whatever I can to help as many people as we can at the club. Sort of like we talked about on the first call, the whole college recruiting process for especially in our sport right now. I mean, the landscape has changed dramatically. Since the whole pandemic has started, it sounds like things are slowly getting back to some sort of normal, some sort of pre-COVID, type of normal, which is great. But I still think it's going to be a couple of years before we get back to where we should be, and the process simplifies itself a bit more. But that being said, what we're trying to do tonight is we're trying to build on what we talked about at the first session. There may be a little bit of overlap in material, but for the most part, this should be new information or will be new information. As we go through the slides, you'll see that some of this will be geared a little bit more toward high school seniors and high school juniors, but I still think that there's good information for underclassmen who are in the group and families who are in the group, so that, again, you could take some notes, start to get an idea of the timing of certain things, when they should sort of fall in the calendar. But like I said, this is designed for everybody, really. But it'll be a little bit more toward those older players, who are a little bit closer to college recruiting age. That being said, here's sort of what we're going to cover loosely in the presentation tonight. I think we'll go do a quick review, from session one. We'll talk, look again at the governing bodies of programs, talk about grant and aid again. We'll talk a little bit more in detail about the college application types, just for those who don't know. We want to be real specific about that. We'll talk a little bit about, bringing college credits in and AP tests and scores and dual enrollment, financial aid. I know that's a critical piece for a lot of the families, a lot of the parents out there. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Give you a tip on one of my secrets as well for the players out there. We'll get a little bit more in detail about creating a player profile or a player CV, for those who are at that time in the window now where we had some teams that were going to state cup. We had a couple teams that went to college showcases in the past couple weeks, or will be going to some in the next few weeks. How to contact college coaches, do it the right way, and then how to follow up, and so on and so forth. This seems to be the hot topic for me. A little bit of my soapbox is this whole college ID camp. We'll talk a little bit more in detail about that. I'll tell you my feelings on that whole process. And then lastly, how we help and how we want to continue to help. And then, of course, any questions that anybody in the audience may have. Like I said, as a review, if you remember from that session earlier in the fall, we said there's really a couple main governing bodies, really two main at the 4-year level. You have the NCAA, which those are most of the programs that everybody's familiar with. Especially the big Division I schools, the Alabamas, the Auburns, the Georgias, and so on and so forth. All right, but you got the NCAA. That's the governing body that they oversee really three distinct divisions: Division I, Division II, and Division III. Like we said on the call before, the two of the divisions that offer scholarship money, athletic scholarship money, grant and aid money, are Division I and Division II. Division III, there is no athletic scholarship money for any schools that are in the Division III category. The NIAA is broken up into two divisions. Both of those divisions do offer athletic scholarship money. We said the NJCAA, those are the two-year schools, the junior colleges, or the JUCOs as it used to be called. That's broken up now into three divisions. JUCO 1 and JUCO 2 do offer athletic scholarship money. JUCO 3 does not. No athletic scholarship money for JUCO 3 schools. Just generally speaking, there are over 1,200 men's soccer programs among those three major groupings, and then there's over 1,400 in those three groupings for women's soccer. And that number fluctuates year to year, but for the most part, those numbers have been pretty static over the last couple decades. Again, as a review, what is an athletic scholarship? I said on the inside, it's more commonly called a athletics grant and aid, and by strict definition, there it is. Financial aid scholarship to attend a college or university, awarded predominantly on athletic ability. That's it. So that being said, college coach watches X player at a game, a showcase, whatever. They look and say, hey, they have an athletic skill set that I think can help my program. I'm going to reach out to that player and I'm going to award them, basically free money, athletic money, for them to participate in their team at said institution. Okay. Like we said before, it could come in a variety of ways. But for the most part, athletics grant and aid covers tuition. It can cover room, board, and books, but for the most part, you see that reimbursed directly toward tuition. Most people don't know this, but our sport, soccer, is a 1-year renewable athletic grant and aid. There has been a movement in the last year or two that the revenue sports, especially at the NCAA 1 level, that is football, that is basketball, men's and women's basketball, they have gone to a 4-year athletic scholarship. So those athletes in those programs, really, when they're awarded, that award will be continuous over those 4 years. But for our sport, everyone needs to understand that it's a 1-year renewable scholarship. Knowing that, I had the conversation with somebody this past week on the field. If your player is fortunate to be offered an athletics grant and aid at a Division I institution, you'll sign an NLI prior to entering in their freshman year. If they have that money given to them again, sophomore, junior, and senior year, you'll repeat that process in each of those 4 years. So they will sign a new NLI from freshman to sophomore year, sophomore to junior year, junior to senior year. Like we said on the call previous to, with the whole pandemic and the NCAA granting a 5th-year option and so on and so forth, there's potential for that to be an added year on top of that as well. Because of the numbers, we said at the men's Division I level, fully funded program is 9.9 scholarships. At the women's NCAA level, that number is 14. Most soccer players will receive partial athletic scholarship. It is rare, very rare on the men's side that a student athlete will get a full athletic scholarship. It's less rare on the women's side because of the more money that the programs have. So you will hear of, and hopefully we'll have a Tormenta player here in the next couple of years that will be fortunate enough to get a full athletic scholarship. That's our goal. But like I said, for the most part, as a family and as an athlete, you can expect to get partial athletic scholarship money. There are programs, especially where I was at Rider University on the men's side a handful of years ago, where we sort of stepped up our athletic money, saying that it was, hey, we offered X amount to an incoming freshman. We told those players, if you continue to do well and your contribution to the program increased sophomore year, junior year, senior year, that you'll see more athletic scholarship money in each of those 4 years, with your 4th year being the most money that you'll have. We tried to sort of package it as, if you are that player in our program, by the time that you're a senior, athletic scholarship plus academic scholarship, you're basically, all your tuition will be covered. That's how we positioned ourselves in that program, and it worked out pretty well for us. within the last couple of years too, we talked about this on that call previous, that there's been a movement in a handful of schools for this cost of attendance, full cost of attendance. So basically, if anybody gets to that point where they have that discussion, that's additional athletic scholarship money that helps to cover cost of living expenses, travel to and from campus, and things of that nature. So like I said, when I was at NDSU, we talked about this last time, when I was at NDSU, because the football program is an FCS perennial national champ, they went to cost of attendance scholarships for all the sports there. So that was an extra, I think it was about $3,000 that we were able to offer the women's soccer players in our program as part of that athletic scholarship package. So I said, if we're talking to some programs that have that, just know that that's out there, but not everybody, has it or offers that money right now. That is an athletic department decision solely by the institution. Specifically for this call, I said, we're trying to sort of talk directly to that high school senior and maybe that junior, for this time next year. Here's one of those things that we want everyone to understand. It's a little bit different now than back when we went to school, where you had the common application and you maybe had a school-specific application. That was pretty much all you had to do. But right now, what we need everyone to understand is, when you get to that step where you've taken your list of schools, you've narrowed it down, you've gone to the visits and so on and so forth, you've talked to the coaches, you've narrowed it down, and you have your 3 or 4 or 5 schools that you want to submit an application to. The things that you need to think about is said school, are they part of the common application process, or do they have a school-specific application? I just want everybody to be mindful of this from the standpoint of, the applying to college is not coming cheap these days. Last I checked, and once again, like Brad said, my 2 actually just graduated within the past 12 to 18 months, my 2 sons. So, we went through that process. $75, $85, $100 just to do an application to the colleges and universities in the system. So we want everybody to understand that, okay, if it's a common application, what's it going to cost me to do that? How many schools potentially accept the common application? Am I able to sort of maximize the work that I do, and putting the application together and maximize sort of the reach that I have based on the cost per that. And then, like I said, specifically, does the school of choice, do they have a separate application that you have to fill out just for them? And once again, what are those costs? I've literally had conversations with families where they said, yeah, my son, my daughter, we've applied to 15 schools. Okay, that's great. Congratulations. But I'm pretty good at math, and you start to do the rough math on that. And if it's $75 to $100, well, you're talking $1,000, $1,500 that we're choosing to spend on college applications. Just want people to be aware of that. That they do come at a cost. Some of the other things that you have to think about are, what are the deadlines? Like we said on the last call, the recruiting cycle has sort of sped up a lot in the last couple of years. These early signing periods. I don't know if, for those who've been following college football this fall, a lot of the discussion, or a lot of the issue that has been happening with a lot of these coaches losing their jobs and moving jobs quickly. The Brian Kellys of Notre Dame going to LSU, and some of these other guys. If you read those articles, they say a lot of that movement has really, I guess it's been because of the early signing period being moved up, from February into this December window. That's sort of forced these college coaches to change jobs rather quickly on the football side. What that's done though for our soccer players in terms of the application process is, you just need to be aware of when those deadlines are. What we don't want is, we don't want one of our players here saying, hey, I really like this school, or we have a connection with a coach or a program, and they don't pay attention to what that deadline is. And all of a sudden it's now January 15th or January 30th, I'm applying, but they weren't aware that the application deadline was November 1st. College coaches do have some pull in a lot of cases with the admissions office, but there's some areas where they may not have any type of leverage or any type of ability to get someone over that application deadline, if it's 2 months past due. So we just need to, and again, sort of in that whole spreadsheet that we were talking about, that you created with your college list and the coach name and so on and so forth. I would have a column in there that lists a due date for the application of all those schools of choice. Along with that, we need to know, is there an early decision 1 period? Is there an early decision 2 period that you have to concern yourself with? Are there just regular decision? Is it rolling admission where you can submit an application in May, June, July? There are some schools that will have that and will offer that. But like I said, you just need to be aware, of that and have those dates down on that spreadsheet. We talked a little bit about this last time too. I think we didn't really have a slide for this, but I think we talked about it in some of the discussion. Anytime that I have a conversation with a player and a family, we get to that point of, I really like this school. Let's, for argument's sake, let's pick Emory University. Right? I really like Emory. It's my quote unquote my first choice. Right? At some point, you're probably having that discussion, with the coaching staff. If you're talking to Sue on the women's side, or if you're talking to, I'm drawing a blank on the men's side, not Clayton. We're talking to those guys on the men's side. If you indicate to them that this is my first choice, they may turn around and say, okay, great. We want you to apply early decision or early decision 1, in their case. Well, what are the benefits? What are the drawbacks? Those are things that you need to be aware of, on that side. So yes, the college coach may want you to do that, but you need to know, is early decision binding? Is it not binding? What are the differences? And again, once we're talking about the admission process, there are certain things that, on their end that they're going to expect. If it's an early decision that is binding, you just need to know that, if you go through that process, that they expect you to attend if they accept you. So a lot of times your ability to back out, of an application, early decision application that's binding, is going to be very, very difficult. So if it's something that's non-binding, that's a little bit different scenario. So if you apply early decision, it's non-binding, they accept you, but then it turns around and another school, pops up on your radar that you like a little bit more, or maybe it had some athletic scholarship money involved and so on and so forth. I have the ability to get out of an early decision that's non-binding versus an early decision that's binding. So like I said, I just want to put that sort of on everybody's radar. If you are looking to apply to schools early, either through an ED1 or an ED2 regular decision, you don't really have to worry about that. And like I said, a lot of those are typically, right around this time of the year for the regular decision application timelines, end of December, mid-January, end of January. Like we said before, though, if it's rolling, that's something that could really take you through the end of the spring semester or even into the summer. Okay, and you see at the bottom of the slide too. I want everybody to be aware of what do you need for each application. So like I said, as you're going through this process, you've put your dates down, you sort of have an idea, hey, is this a school I'm really interested in? Am I looking early decision? Am I looking to do regular? Am I looking to do something that is on the back end of the window? What do I need? Do I need transcripts sent from the high school? Do I need teacher recs, essays, things of that nature? I know, there's been a lot of talk here in the last 5 or 6 years about standardized test scores. Are they required or are they not required? I had a conversation with somebody, probably a month ago, asking me what my opinion is on taking a standardized test. So these, like I said, these are things that you have to be aware of as you are finalizing that application. That if it's something where it requires transcripts, you're working through your high school guidance people, you have to make sure that you're on a timeline with them, that they're able to get the information to the college admissions office in good time, because that from my own experience working at the high school level, that office is typically 1 or 2 people and they're servicing 500 kids or 600 kids or 800 kids. So you want to make sure, especially if you're looking to do early decision 1, early decision 2, or something that is middle of this fall semester, you have to make sure that that information gets to them so that the transcripts get to the college on time. Same thing for teacher recommendations. The teachers are super busy this time of the year. If you need 2 of those, okay, what subjects are you looking to get the recommendations from? Which teachers of which subjects? Reach out to those people early enough so that they can put together the best letter recommendation on your behalf. I do not wait until, hey, it's Sunday night at 5 o'clock and you're contacting your science teacher. Hey, Teacher Smith, I need something by Monday at 10 a.m. It's probably not going to happen. So make sure that everybody does their due diligence on their end to reach out to those teachers as well to make sure that they get that information in good time. Going back to the standardized tests, like I said, my personal opinion is this for what it's worth. And I know a lot of the academic scholarships at institutions now do not rely on ACT or SAT scores, right? They're looking at it more on a matrix. They look at it more on, here's what my high school GPA is. They can get a good indication as to the rigor of your high school curriculum based on the school that you're in. I get that. I understand that. But to some degree, my personal feeling is this: I still think that taking one or two of those tests and providing that to the college admissions office, your best score, maybe it's a super score scenario for some schools. For those that don't know what that means, super score, a lot of times college admissions offices will take, if you take the SAT 2 times, they'll take what's the best score I got on the math side and critical reading. If it's ACT, what's the best I've gotten on each of the 5 different subject areas. They package all that together to get you to a higher comp type of score. That's basically that super score. But as I said, my recommendation is to take one, and hopefully it's the best score that you can get, and submit that to the college of your choice. I only say that because at the end of the day, what's the one area that the admissions offices are able to determine a little more clearly what's the rigor of this high school versus the rigor of this high school. It's going to be what that standardized test score is. Yes, Jim could go to high school A and get a 4.0 and knock it out of the park and do very little homework and barely attend class and so on and so forth. And then student B, they can get a 3.3 and they have 4 hours of homework every night and they're really working hard to earn that 3.3. And then when we go to take a standardized test score, Jim gets an 18 on an ACT and student B gets a 33. That's their, the college admissions office, that's their indicator as to really what was the rigor of Jim's high school versus student B's high school. It's a non-comparison. So when they turn around and start to make admissions decisions and academic scholarship decisions and so on and so forth, the picture's a little bit more clear for them that they are making the best choice for their institution based on that standardized test score, sort of being the great equalizer, if that makes sense. Next thing, we're talking about trying to bring credits into college. I said we were fortunate, and I think I mentioned this on the last call, that our sons, they went to, actually attended 2 different high schools, one in Georgia and then one in Minnesota for their senior year. But they had the ability to take AP classes and AP tests, and I know a lot of kids are doing that these days, in their local high schools. My advice is always, if you have the ability to take those classes, that is great. I mean, that looks great on college application. I think we said on the call last time too, I'm good friends with the Emory staffs there, and I know that they always, in order to get admitted to a school like Emory, always had to have, I think Son used to tell me, I think it was at least 5 AP classes on your transcript to even be considered at a school like that. So like I said, those are things that you need to be aware of as a high school student. But like I said, the high schools are offering them. You take the class, you do very well. Yes, that helps your GPA on the front end. But I also recommend, everybody, spend the money to take the test at the end of the class is my recommendation. I know that comes at a cost, and I apologize for not knowing that exact number, $50, $65, $75, whatever it is. But I recommend you take the test because almost all the colleges out there will award college credits, and these are usually for the prerequisite classes that you would take in your freshman year, but they will award college credits if you get a score of 4 or 5. And that's almost across the board. You'll see some schools out there, depending on the test and depending on the school, that you can get credits for scores of 3. If you get a 1 or a 2, unfortunately, I don't think you're going to get any college credit for that. That's okay. But like I said, you've taken the class, you've taken the test, you have some experience there. But I said on the back end, the way that I'm trying to look at it for a lot of people is, if you go and you can enter your freshman year with 15 credits under your belt, coming through AP tests, because you've gotten 3s, 4s, or 5s, that could save you a whole semester. On the other side, and knowing the cost of these schools, for mom and dad, that could be $15,000, $20,000, $30,000, so on and so forth. To me, that just makes sense. Similarly to the dual enrollment, I know there's a lot of kids down in this area that they do the dual enrollment through either Atlanta-based schools or Georgia Southern and places like that. Same type of idea, for those who are taking those classes, because I can't remember. I don't think either of my sons did the dual enrollment route. They did more the AP route. But my recommendation to everybody is if you have a son or daughter who's doing the dual enrollment, make sure you check with the colleges that he or she is interested in to see if they take those credits. Again, you got to do a little bit of research on that side. Sometimes it may require you to call the admissions office directly, but see if they take them. And if they take them, again, that could benefit you on the back end. If they're coming in with 3 or 4 or 5 classes, which equates to 9, 12, 15 credits, what have you, that could save you money on the back end. But this is an area where you, as the parent, I think you do the due diligence on this one. Make sure you get all your answers answered through the admissions people so that you know what you're stepping into. Like I said, I think that's critical. I would hate to see the student athlete go through the process, take the class, take the test, or take the dual enrollment classes, and then apply to said college, and then we just sort of leave that on the table and we forget about it, and then they turn around and start with freshman prerequisite class number 1, and they're looking, go, well, I already took all this before, I already know this stuff. To me, like I said, I don't think it makes a lot of sense. Like I said, specifically for me and my family, I know that my 2 sons, they took AP classes and tests sophomore year, junior year, senior year. I think one of them went in there with close to 30 credits. I think the other one, God, they probably both were right around 30 credits each. I said, great for them. Like I said, my younger son, he graduated in 3.5 years. So he got done early. The oldest son, he could have gotten finished. Sorry about that. Could have gotten finished in 3.5 years because of the pandemic. His fall season got pushed into the spring season, so he decided to stay for that extra semester. Took 3 classes to satisfy minimum credits in order to maintain his eligibility. But those are 3 classes of credits that he did not need, but he was able to play the spring competitive season with his college team before he graduated. So I just want to, again, put that on people's radars that do your due diligence, get the information that you need. Don't leave credits on the table that you can transfer in, because at the end of the day, that comes at a financial cost on the back end. If you need any help from me, let me know. If you don't know where to look or who to talk to, call me, email me. I'll walk you through the process. I could look it up myself. I had to do it specifically for my kids. Where you go into admissions website, and there should be some type of links in there at most of the schools that will give you sort of a chart, especially for the APs that say, we'll grant you credits if you've scored this, or this on this test, this test, this test, this test. It's all out there. But like I said, if you need help, let me know. Want to help, because like I said, I know what we paid for our 2 sons to attend school, and the cost is going up and up and up every year. I'm trying to make it as user friendly as I can on the financial end for as many families as possible here at the club. Again, a little bit of a review on the types of financial aid. Again, this is for parents on the call. Is that specifically for sort of what these seminars are geared toward? We want to try to get as many of our student athletes in our program. We're trying to get them to that point of hopefully they get a athletic scholarship, an athletics grant and aid. That's what we're looking for. Like we said on that previous slide, this is money that is given to your son or daughter just based on athletic ability. they like the way your son or daughter plays soccer. Here's some money, come play for my team. You make the commitment to us athletically, we make the commitment to you financially. That's it. Right? Don't have to pay that money back. Right? All's great. The other one, and this is sort of, I guess, my personal favorite because it's tied directly to academic success. You know, from your high school, 4 high school years, and then you maintain that through your college years. This is not something that can easily go away. An athletic scholarship can go away if, I mean, I've seen college coaches take money away because student athlete gets injured and can't participate with the team. I know for a fact athletic scholarships will disappear if student athlete makes poor social choices. I know for a fact athletic scholarship money will disappear if student athlete does poorly academically in school. You will lose that money in those two cases. Right? But merit-based financial aid is based solely on the academics, GPA, test scores coming in, and then as long as you maintain a certain GPA at school, you will always have that money. So like I said, to me, that's I think it's more powerful, and I like it a lot better because if the student athlete does it right, there's less risk involved, if that makes sense. Okay, but some of the things you need to know, and we had this at LaGrange when I was down there. For some of those upper level academic scholarships, is there another application that you need to fill out to be considered for some higher level merit-based scholarships? There's some schools that you don't need to do anything, that, like I said, it's based on GPA and or test scores. You send that stuff in, you hit the matrix, here's what we're able to give you, great. Like I said, schools like LaGrange, they had stuff that was presidential scholarship, which was full tuition, full room and board, books, blah, blah, blah. Then they had certain levels below that. I can't remember exactly, but there may have been like 15 different levels of scholarship money that went from full everything to full tuition to just room and board and books, but you had to apply separately for that. So again, parents need to do their due diligence. Is there a separate application? If so, what's required of that? When's the deadline for that as well? Again, that gets back to that spreadsheet that we're talking about. Put that information on there so that so again, so we don't want to miss anything. And all of a sudden it's December 31st and hey, I forgot that we had to send this extra application to get additional merit-based scholarships at X school. Well, the application was due December 1st, and they've already had on-campus interviews the last 2 weeks. Oh, that stinks. Okay, so we don't want to miss those things. Okay, and it sort of leads us into that next point too. Make sure is there anything additional that the student athlete would have to do if they are applying or they need to apply for any of these additional merit-based scholarships. I said at LaGrange, the kids that we had there, they had to come in for a full day of interviews, and they would get a sort of specialized campus tour. They would meet certain faculty members. So it was an 8-hour process that they had to go through. And then after that, that's when they would award that extra merit-based money. If someone couldn't attend, then that basically knocked them out of contention for that money, unfortunately. So again, we don't want anybody to miss out on any of those opportunities that, hey, if I have to come on campus on January 3rd to do a full day interview, well, we want to make sure that everybody's aware. Okay. Lastly, or I shouldn't say lastly, but just in terms of the review here, again, need-based financial aid, all that revolves around the FAFSA. Again, that's the free application for federal student aid. Make sure that you don't pay anything to sign up for the FAFSA. All right, it's supposed to be free. That's why it's in the name. So if you click on something and you click on the wrong thing, and all of a sudden it's going to cost you $75, back out of that. Something went wrong. And then I said, go back and see if you can go find it the right way, because you're not supposed to have to pay for that. My recommendation when I'm advising people is I always tell them to fill out the FAFSA. Like we said on the call previous too, if you are in a position where you're getting a national letter of intent, you are getting athletic scholarship money, you will, that is an absolute capital letter, underlined, bold, you will have to file the FAFSA. Even if you don't think you qualify for anything, that is a requirement of getting athletic scholarship money, and you'll have to do that each of the 4 years. But like I said, my advice is fill it out. You just don't know. Even if you think your income is at such a level where, well, it's not going to matter, I'm not going to get anything, I still advise everyone to go through it because you just don't know. Like I said, you see in sort of the next idea, sort of like the admissions process and recruiting, everything's been moved up. There, the FAFSA dates, they've all been moved up as well. So incoming freshmen can actually apply for, do the FAFSA now. So you can do it in the fall semester. You don't have to wait until after February or March and try to crank it out between March and May. A lot of schools actually want you to try to do it early so that they have an idea of how much money in their their need-based allotment that they have from the federal government, how much that they're distributing to people in that incoming class. I think their preferences is they would rather know now versus deal with it in May. And obviously, as a family, we'd rather know now because a lot of times that helps us in our final decision making. That school X is able to put this together in terms of athletic money, merit money, need-based money. School Y can only do this, this, and this. So when you start to compare, apples to apples, their package is much better here versus over here. That may be just the deciding factor for some families, to choose this school over this school. So again, do the FAFSA, do it early, get it all out of the way, get those numbers in front of you. I think that part's critical. You see sort of down there in bullet point 3.2, when you're filling out the FAFSA, one of these things that I always recommend, always ask for work study. Whether you think your son or daughter doesn't need it, doesn't want it, whatever. I've seen people do this where they don't click. It's really just clicking a box in there. They don't click the box on the initial application. Then everything comes back and maybe the money isn't what they think it is. They didn't click on work study. 9.5 times out of 10, if not 10 out of 10, you call admissions office at that point, my son or daughter would like work study. The answer is no. The answer is going to be no from admissions. The reason why is most schools only have a set number of work study jobs that are on campus that they're able to fund through the FAFSA program. And once those jobs are taken, they're taken. They can't add something different, add an additional one just because now all of a sudden you realize that your son or daughter wants a work study job. They can't manufacture that out of nowhere. So you're better off asking for that up front. You can always deny it when the FAFSA stuff does come back, but if you want to try to tack it on later, it's not going to happen. All right, so just write that in your notes. It's a bullet point number 4, and this is sort of my secret to everybody. Please don't tell this to people not on this call. But like I said, this is your bonus prize, bonus money. And I told you, everybody on the last call, I have done this myself each of the 4 years for my one son, each of the 3 years for my other son. You can appeal your FAFSA award directly with the financial aid office. You can do that. Right? So a lot of times what happens is, and like I said, I know this from my time at Oxford because I would work directly with the admissions people and financial aid people. A lot of times what happens is once the FAFSA information comes in, what the school personnel will do is they will award, based on the EFC and all that kind of stuff, they will award you that need-based financial aid to a certain point, but more often than not, there's a little bit of buffer left in there, right? And what I was told when I was at Oxford is, it's because they don't want, the financial aid people don't want to cap it out right away, because a lot of times it could trigger a red flag with the federal government people. So they leave that little buffer in there for everybody. And it's not a lot, $1,000, $1,500, $2,000. So it's not a gigantic sum of money, but we just need to know on this call that that buffer does exist, that there is that little bit of gap in there. So like I said, what I've done each of the 4 years for my kids is call the financial aid office up and ask them, hey, thank you for the award. Everything looks great. Thank you for your generosity. Yeah, for me specifically, I had 2 kids in school at the same time, so they both entered freshman year at the same time and went all the way through. Is there anything else that you can help me with? Hey, just another $1,000, would go a long way. And all 4 years, the answer was sure, no problem. We can do that. Okay, great. I said, I wasn't asking for $40,000. I wasn't asking for $20,000. So just know going in that you have the ability to ask for a little bit, and more often than not, you're going to get it. Yeah, it may not seem significant, but over the course of 4 years, $1,000, $1,500, $2,000, that adds up to, it could add up to $8,000 per one student. I said, I did it for two. So for me, I was, I saved myself, I can't remember specifically, but somewhere between $12,000 and $18,000, just by putting that call out, asking that, hey, can you help me? Can you give me a little bit more? And they were able to do that. So, like I said, just parents, sort of put that in your notes. If you have any questions, when that time comes, about making that call, let me know. Again, reach out to me, let me know. I can walk you through that process. I don't think it's anything that anyone should be uncomfortable with, but I said, just ask politely, and more often than not, you're going to get, you're going to receive. Okay. Last little thing in here, make sure that the College Board, we said, make sure you have your CSS profile. That's a little bit different than the FAFSA, because a lot of schools will ask you for that, to do that additionally, and more often than not, they're going to ask for additional information. So, for those that have to do that CSS, be ready to provide additional financial information and so on and so forth. Okay. All right, moving on more to the player side now. Okay, and like we said at the top of the call, looking at this window, looking at this November, December, January, February sort of time frame, what are the things that are important for seniors, juniors that are looking at this process going into next year? We said, what's for the seniors, what's the tangible right now? It's the application process. For the parents, it's doing the whole financial aid and everything that is critical with that whole part of the process. For the player now too, it's, I want to play college soccer. I need to prepare myself to reach out to coaches, get information in their hands, get them out to my games so that they can see me play. Hopefully that puts me in a position where I can get, an athletics grant and aid. But how do I do that? And for everyone on the call, remember, the landscape now is very different than it was 20 years ago. In that, back then, recruiting really on both sides, the men and the women's side, at all three levels of NCAA, NIA, JUCO, was primarily domestic based. A lot of those kids that populated those rosters were right here in the 50 states. The international recruiting was not super big. It wasn't super heavy back then. But now what do you have? There are more international students on college soccer rosters now than ever before. I mean, take a look. NAIA, very heavy in terms of international student athletes on those rosters. Division II, very heavy. I know personally that at the Division III level, a lot of the Division III institutions will have specific admissions type of benefits and perks for international students. That also happens at Division I level. So that's why you're starting to see that, that number increase dramatically here in the last couple of years. What does that mean? You as the prospective student athlete, the player that is, you have to go and get information into the college coaches' hands so that you're getting on their radar, so that you can get or become a part of their recruited student athlete pool. They're not going to find you very easily, because the landscape is so big, it's so broad. There's so many kids that they have to choose from. So you have to, get your information out in front of them. And we said, end of the call last time, some of the things that we do, we'll cover that again. Some of the things that we do at the club level. But at the end of the day, the student athlete is the one that needs to drive the bus. They need to get the information into the college coaches' hands. Seniors now, we're behind. Juniors now, we're getting close to being behind. Sophomore, freshman, good time to get started. 8th grade, you're close. But I say for eighth graders on the call, anytime after this spring, once you get out of this spring semester and you're out of middle school, going into high school, I'd start the process. All right. But what do you do? All right. Specifically, again, it's, can you create that player profile, create that CV? We did a few of these for some of the teams that went to NCFC. I was able to send that link out from Aaron, and I apologize. There was some confusion for what he sent me that I pushed on to you, that some people tried to do that and we end up erasing other people's materials. We'll figure that out again. So reach out to me directly if you're having trouble with the CV. I'll help you. Because what we're trying to do, though, I guess first and foremost, is we want to see if we can get everybody to have a Tormenta branded CV when they send that information out to college coaches. So it'll have logos and has cool little sort of graphic on the top, because we want sort of everybody that's under our care, when they send that information out, those college coaches know that it's coming from us. We're working super hard on our end to let college coaches know who we are, what we're all about, how we want to play, how we're training our kids, the fact that we're doing these type of things and taking care of them, through the recruitment process, so that they know, the type of soccer player that they're receiving. They know the type of student athlete that they're receiving. They know that this person will fit their culture. So that's why we said it's critical that we want everybody to have this Tormenta branded CV. But these are the things that you have to have on there. And like I said, if we can get that template done correctly, it's an easy fill. Like I said, I did a few for a couple of the upperclassmen. We went to NCFC a few weeks back. Once I have all the information, it's easy, sort of, drop it in, typeset it in. Doesn't take very long. But these are the things that you need. Okay, and like I said, you see in here, that GPA test scores. That's what we talked about before. If you have those standardized test scores, those are things that the college coaches want to see. What's your graduation year? What's your uniform number? Got it? Yeah, I mean, you should have a picture of yourself in there. Don't just leave it as a soccer ball. Okay, and then what are some of your accomplishments? What have you done academically? We said, are you valedictorian? Are you Key Club, National Honor Society? I've seen Spanish National Honor Society, Latin National Honor Society. Those are good things that you want to put on there. Soccer. What have you done with Tormenta? Have you done ODP? Has that been something for you? What have you done at the high school level? So on and so forth. You see a lot of our programs now are in MLS Next. We're in Piedmont Conference for the girls and doing things like that. Those things speak. They speak to the college coaches. So you have to get that information in there. I always tell everybody too, if you look at the template, and I apologize for not having one here, all that information sort of shows up on the right side of the template, work in chronological order from most recent to least recent. When you're putting that soccer information in there. So you should see, the first thing they should see is, we're a Tormenta player playing on this team in this age group. Here's some of the things that I've done. I'm on the 03 girls team. We're playing NCFC. We're playing state cup, so on and so forth. And then work your way back to, okay, here's where I played when I was 12 years old, kind of thing. But put all that stuff, that information in there. If you have some previous coaches or current coaches that can act as a reference on the player's behalf, include that information as well. For the players that I'm working with or who I know personally in the club, put me in there. All right. For some of the people that don't know me, but if you're one of the boys on the boys teams, put your staff coaches on there. And I only say that because you don't know who we know in the college game, right? I think Brad said on the first call, I've almost had 15 years of college coach experience, and some other guys on the staff, they have college coach experience directly. If not, they may know somebody who's coaching at the college level, and so on and so forth. So now all of a sudden, if you put on your CV that, hey, one of my references is Coach Jim, here's his email and his contact information, and you're sending it to Princeton University, there's a good chance like I said, I know Jim Barlow. Great. Okay. If you're sending it to Emory, I know Sue. Great. So you got to make sure you have that information in there, on there. Okay. Lastly, I think we're doing a better job now with our VO camera systems, and I see all the videos that are up on the boys and girls side throughout the club. If you have the ability to extract some highlights from those videos, please do that. Do that. Try to get something that's 6, 7, 8, 10 minutes max long. If you're able to group those all together, create one link and then insert that link sort of in the left side of your CV, put that in there. If you can't insert the link, then I think one of the girls I was working with, she just put it in the general email. So, here, click this link for access to my most recent highlights. That works as well. The other side of it too, I did for another player within the last week, that the college coach wanted to see full game videos. Obviously, we have those as a staff. So if you get to a point where, we have college coaches that want to see full game videos, we're able to share that as well. But like I said, worst case scenario, I'd love to get the highlight part in there. When you do the highlights, some of the things that college coaches like to see, or that we'd like to see on there, is, do like an intro page for yourself, even on the video, something that sort of mimics the CV. Hey, here's maybe a headshot picture of yourself as the player. Here's some of the information: name, uniform number, position, graduation year, things of that nature. I've seen kids, I've received stuff at the college level where kids do, sort of a quick intro of themselves. Hi, my name is Jim. Thanks for watching my highlight video. I wear number 7. I play attacking midfield. I'm great at taking people on the dribble. I score a lot of goals with my left foot. I hope you enjoy my video. So something like that's not a bad thing to put in there as well. And like I said, include that in the CV. Other things too, before I forget, if you have the ability, and I don't know how to do this. I know there's some parents on one of my teams here that can do this very well, but if you have the ability to, circle yourself or highlight yourself during those highlights, do that as well. It just makes it easier for the college coach to track you, over the course of those clips. So I think there's some apps on your phone that can do that easily, some software that can do that easily. I am by no means a video highlight expert, other than I could tell you what to put on there. But in order to get that circle or the square or the arrow around you, I'll need some help on that, but definitely you want to include that just to make it easier. Okay, so let's assume that we have the CV done. And everything looks good. I recommend that you send that to myself or some of the other staff coaches that you're working directly with. Have them proof it first, just to make sure everything looks good, is the typesetting is right and everything's correct. So make sure you just get a second set of eyes on that before we send it out. But here's what you have to do. And you go back to that list that we talked about on the call in the fall. So you have your spreadsheet. It has the 12 colleges that you're interested in. It has the college coach first name, last name. It has the mascot. It has the application deadline, early decision deadline, all these things that we just talked about on this call. All right, so you refer to that. You've started off with your initial email. Okay, you're going to email that directly to the college coach, and you will address the college coach by name. So it is Coach Smith, Coach Jones, Coach Robbins, whatever. Don't just put dear coach. All right, I said before on the call in the fall, you do that, you're pretty close to guaranteed to just getting a delete. So they won't even read it. Like I said, I've received stuff as a college coach where it's not even in the BCC box. It is in the CC box. It is in the 2 where it is sent to me and 54 other coaches. I could see everybody that they sent it to. I'm going to look at that and go, the student athlete did not care enough to send me anything personally or personalized. They're just throwing sort of buckshot out there to see if anybody responds. They're not that serious in my school or my program. So take it for what it's worth. That's probably going to be the response. So yes, you're going to have to do a little bit more work on the front end by personalizing each of these emails. I would reference the school. Hey, I'm interested in Clemson University. I want to be a Tiger. Do those kind of things, or a specific major in there. I want to go to University of Pennsylvania. I heard you have a great biology program. Right? Do those things in that email. It goes a long way, other than, dear coach, I like your school. I want to play there. Here's my CV. All right. So hopefully everybody understands that you have to do a little bit more work on the front end, because again, we said, it's your email is not one of one. Your email is one of 100 that they're getting in a day, one of 500 that they're getting in a day. I worked at a mid-major at LIU Brooklyn. I literally get 30 to 40 emails a day at a mid-major program. So imagine if your goal or your ambition is to play with Eddie at Clemson, play with Robbie at Duke, or so on and so forth. How many emails are they getting? Again, you got to separate yourself from everybody else. You have to take the time, do it correctly, so that you can hopefully make it through that initial gatekeeper kind of thing and actually get them to read and hopefully respond, and so on and so forth. Okay. For those that are in this window now, like I said, we just had the 05s just came back from their pro event down there in Orlando. We have teams that are going to State Cup. We got a team going to Disney. you send the schedule in that email as well. And I'll show you some examples of some initial emails, but put your schedule in there. All right. Hey, my 04 team is playing game Friday, December this, Saturday, December that, Sunday, December that. The Friday game's at 4:00, Saturday. Here's the field. Here's my uniform number. I play left wing. I have blonde hair. All right. Don't be afraid to put all that stuff in there in that initial email. Okay. We said make sure you attach the player profile video, the highlights. If they're embedded in the profile, great. If not, then put the highlights in that initial email. At some point, we're trying to ask if we can meet with the staff. I've had a couple kids here in the last couple months where they're at that point where they're making the college visit, or we're going to a tournament or a showcase that's close to a college campus that they're interested in. Told them, send the email. Hey, I'm going to be up in Greenville this weekend, for a couple showcase games. Can I stop by and visit your campus and talk to you a little bit about the soccer program? I'm really interested in, in Furman University. See what happens. Okay. Because at the end of the day, what are you trying to do? Yeah, you're trying to get a face-to-face. You're at some point you may be looking for an overnight visit. At some point, like I said, that's what we're trying to get to. That shows that, okay, you've made some headway, and they're interested in you. You're interested in them. We're moving in the right direction. Okay. Lastly, tip 4, any of the players on the call and parents, make sure you hold the players to this. If college coaches do respond, I always recommend please adhere to the 24-hour rule, meaning that if so-and-so coach says, thank you for the email, thank you for the schedule, I'll be out at your game this weekend at NCFC, look forward to seeing you play, respond back within a day. Hey, Coach Smith, thank you for the email. I'm glad you're able to watch me play on Saturday. I look forward to seeing you at the field. Doesn't have to be much, but I would not leave a response sort of not done for days, or not do it. Okay. It only takes you a minute to write 2 sentences in response, but that's critical because again, they've taken the time to respond to your email. They're interested. Don't leave them without responding back, because again, they're going to look at it and go, wow, he's not interested or she's not interested. They didn't even get back to me. So I think that's just bad practice, not to respond. So definitely do it. Again, though, if you have any issues, questions, concerns, what do I say? How do I respond? Or they've sent me the general come to my camp email, reach out to me. I'll help you out. I've seen 1,000 of these, so I know what is, or I could tell the difference between what is a blanket response versus something that is more personalized. So again, don't go at it alone if you don't have to. We're here to help. Please utilize us as resources to get you through the process. Okay. Let's say here's one from actually Leo played with us up at MOBA when I was up there. He's a Statesboro kid. He sent me this as he was emailing, going through his process his senior year. And like I said, here's what he wrote to Coach Barlow at Princeton. Like I said before, Coach Barlow is a good friend of mine, known Jim for a while, but this is sort of the kind of stuff that you want. I won't read this verbatim, but I'll give you a second to take a look at it. Take some notes in here, but it hits a lot of these bullet points that we were just talking about. Excuse me. So again, what are the things that I'm looking for? Okay, introduces himself, wants to play at Princeton. Right, he's telling Coach Barlow what year he's in, at what school, where's his school located, his position, right, the team that he's on, where his team plays. So that is easily transferable to you as a Tormenta player. Again, hey, here's my coach. My club's director is Jim. And I told him that I knew Jim Barlow. So again, these are the things that we're talking about. I mean, I actually had a personal phone call with Coach Barlow about Leo as he was going through this process, right? And actually, Leo ended up at University of Pennsylvania, where Brian Gill, their head coach, I coached Brian when he was at Rider. I was the assistant at Rider. He was our starting goalkeeper. So again, that's sort of why we want to put that stuff in there, right? And you see in that sort of that third paragraph, you talk a little bit about the team and how they've done and where they're playing and so on and so forth. Okay, just giving them a little bit more information. So there's just some cool little trigger things there. You see, if you look at it quick, you see R3PL, you see ODP, you see Region 3, and those kind of things, right? Those are I guess, levels of play that a lot of college coaches like to see. Okay, so I'll give you another second or two and move on to the second part of this. But again, well done on Leo's part here. And I did not help him one bit on this. He sent it to me, I proofed it, and I said, feel free to send it. Okay, and this is the same email. He says just because there's less on it, the print's a little bit bigger. But again, what do you see? All right, all region, GPA. I mean, super score AC3 33, super score 34. Leo, you're looking at Princeton. You better put that on there. All right, that is super critical. Okay, and then you see down here at the end, wants to come to campus. Right, with the way that his worked out is actually he went up there. He was able to specifically narrow down a couple of dates for when he was going to go up there and look at a couple of schools in the Northeast. So he told the coaches, I'll be making a trip. I forget what the dates were now, but it was like September 23rd, 24th, 25th. Can we schedule a visit? And he was able to get a visit at a couple of the schools just because he put those dates in there that he was traveling from Georgia to New Jersey and Pennsylvania, and he was able to get those on-campus visits. So again, very good by Leo. This is it. It took a little bit of work, but like I said, it's a little bit more impactful than, dear coach, I'm interested in your school. Get back to me. Excuse me. Again, another one from Leo trying to follow up. He sent the initial email, right? But he didn't get any response. He was asking me, what do I do? I said, get back to him. Again, be specific about what we're talking about. Let them know that you watched the game. Right, and you're aware of how the team's doing. Okay, but these are all those things that you're trying to put in some of those return emails or follow-up emails or secondary emails. Okay, but again, good stuff. Speaks volumes. Like where he's going with this. I'll give you a chance to read this again. And like I said, I like how he finishes with this one. Hey, here's when I'm available, or here's when I'm able to talk to you. Are you free at this time? All right. So he's trying to set the date, set the time for their staff to see if he can get them on a call. So that's, again, critical. It's okay to be that specific. As I said, I lived the college coach game for 15 years. Having some type of sort of normalcy with that, hey, sometimes it's not a bad thing. That some of these guys are training in the afternoon. Hey, can you get on a call at 10 o'clock in the morning on Thursday? I'm free then. You never know. Again, sort of follow up from Leo, he talked to the coaches. So here's where we are with everything. Again, I'll give you a second to read this, but again, look for some of those things that we're talking about. Very specific in certain areas. So well done by him. All right, and you see at the end, again, hey, my desire is to go early decision 1. So like I said, we talked, he knew when the deadline was for early decision 1, at UPenn. So they know, and he knows that this is where we are. He's telling them that we're giving those guys the indication that this is his top choice. Right? He's willing to apply early decision by that deadline. So he's telling them that this is really where I want to go. Hopefully it's a match. And like I said, Leo is at University of Pennsylvania right now. Okay. Specifically for, like I said, we just showed you sort of some introductory emails, how to follow up, how to reply when you get a response, so on and so forth. But specifically for those players who are going to these showcases, and things sort of in this window. I know the boys just went to California. A couple of those teams, the MLS Next boys teams, went to California. I heard through some of the staff members that there was huge college coach presence there. We had a girls team go down to this Piedmont Pro event this weekend that we're just finishing now. I saw that the college coach list there was pretty extensive as well there. But this is sort of your timetable. We have some teams that are doing State Cup coming up this coming weekend. So you sort of have to get in this rhythm. Again, if you want to be seen, if you want the college coach to come out and watch you, giving them too much information is not an issue. Hitting them a couple different times, because for me, it's all about contacts. How many times can you contact them? They may or may not respond every time that you email them or send them information, but the more that you can do it, your name keeps popping up in their inbox or text or whatever. That shows them something. So here's sort of what, like I said, timetable for any type of upcoming showcase. Recommend 2 weeks prior. So like I said, if we're, for the teams that are going to State Cup this coming weekend, back up 2 weeks. Sorry, let me get my calendar here so I can give you some dates. So if they're playing on the 18th and 19th of December, I would hope that our players would have emailed them by December 3rd. All right, that's 2 Fridays before the event. All right, hey, so-and-so, here's my intro email. Here's my CV again. Here's my highlights. Just want to let you know I'll be attending State Cup. Those games are going to be in Rock Hill, South Carolina. I'm playing with the 03 team. I wear number 7. I play left midfield. I'm left-footed. I score a lot of goals. Jim has no hair. Look for the bald-headed guy playing left wing with a great left foot. Okay, whatever. Yeah, I'll be on this field, so on and so forth. Send that out to them. So you may or may not get a response. Okay. Next contact, a couple days prior to the event, sort of reconfirm everything. Hey, just want to let you know I'm attending State Cup. It'll be this weekend in Rock Hill, South Carolina. We're playing at Manchester Meadows, and we got final confirmation that I'm on field 4 on Saturday at 5 o'clock against this opponent. Once again, I'm wearing number 7. I got a big bald head. I'm playing left wing. I got a great left foot. We're going to be wearing blue, whatever. Okay, get all that information out to them. They may or may not respond back. That's okay. After the event, follow up. So we had a couple girls do this after NCFC, because we knew, because we were handing out profiles to college coaches, we knew who was, for the most part, who was watching our games, who we were able to get profiles to. Told them, follow up. Just reply or get back with them. Hey, thank you for watching me play. Whether they were there or not is immaterial at this time. Hopefully they were there. That's what we want. But even if they weren't, I just want to thank you. Hopefully you're able to watch my game, this past Saturday at Manchester Meadows at 4 o'clock. We played so-and-so. Hey, it was great. We got the result. We won 3-0. I scored 2 goals. We played in the final on Sunday. Unfortunately, we didn't win. Boom, 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 boom. Hey, want to let you know that I'll be, our team's playing these games in a month's time. I'll send you that updated schedule. It gets closer. And then you're back on that same rhythm with that. So I said, this is, in my opinion, these are the things that you need to do in order to get on their radar as often as you can. Like I said, a lot of times it's about contacts. How many times are they seeing that same name come across their email and so on and so forth is what's going to trigger them to want to come out and watch. And again, the Tormenta brand, the Tormenta name, the Tormenta style of play, and so on and so forth. It speaks volumes now. I think that presence is going to continue to grow as we continue to build the youth side of the club. So they start seeing the logo and the name come across their desk. I know for a fact that we're going to continue to get more traction. Like I said, specifically for me on the girls' side, I was talking to as many people that I could when I was at NCFC, and really the resounding theme was, hey, we like the way your kids play. We like the way your kids handle themselves on the field. So that word spreads quickly among the college coach community. Trust me. Okay. Again, this is, from Leo, just follow up to the showcase. Again, it doesn't take much. Okay. So just a little bit like that. Boom, boom, boom. Give you a second to read that, but easy as you like. Again, what are some of those trigger things that you see in here? Hey, there's the dates. There's the Region 3 team, and somewhere he's given a location in Birmingham. If you knew the fields, that would be a little bit better. But again, hey, I'll send you more information as soon as I get it. Once again, just trying to create that extra contact. So, very good again on Leo's behalf, right? Another type of email follow-up. Again, we see, being specific about who his reference is in here, right? Making that connection to Penn State, want to come see campus, right? So again, give you a chance to read that, but very good again on his part. right, moving on. Like we said at the top of the call, right? This is, unfortunately, this is typical what you'll get from most of the schools when you send them information. Okay, or I should back up a step. If you're younger underclassmen, a lot of times what you'll get is I'm not, by NCAA rule, I'm not allowed to contact you, due to your age, please reach back out to me, after X date going into your junior year, then we can talk a little bit more about boom, boom, boom. But here's information about our upcoming ID camps, feel free to attend, so on, so on, so on, right? You'll see specifically about the ID, you'll see just that if you're a junior, senior in high school, more often than not, they'll send you that. We have an upcoming ID camp or ID weekend on our campus. Love to have you attend, right? You'll see that more often than you want to see, okay? Sort of going back to what we said before, if you're at that point and you're sending these communications out and this is what you're receiving back, please, please, please reach out to me, reach out to the other staff coaches, get our opinion first on these ID camps. Because unfortunately, I said, I've been on both ends of this. I've been on this, the one side with my own sons, where we flew out New Year's Eve weekend to go to Santa Barbara, the four of us. Imagine what that cost, because our son was interested in that school. They said, come to our ID camp. We went to the ID camp, 4 people going to California, New Year's Eve weekend. And when we got there, college coach was like, who are you? So yeah, that left a bitter taste. Unfortunately for me, is what it is. But like I said, use some of my trials and tribulations to your advantage. Don't want you to make some of the same mistakes that I've made with my kids. So that's what I'm saying. Include us, because this is what you're going to have. You're going to have some of these are strictly moneymakers. These ID camps, strictly moneymakers for the program. You didn't hear this from me, so please don't repeat this. But a lot of times, a assistant coach, this pays some of their salary, and so on and so forth. So that's why they exist. Like I said, I did them when I was at NDSU as the first assistant there. I was in charge of the ID camp. We're trying to bring kids in. Thankfully, we were a little bit more on the legitimate side, but there was still a quote unquote business side of it. Okay. I'm not proud of that, but it is what it is. Okay. But what we want you to understand is, there's 2 ways of looking at this. Are these upcoming ID camp, come to my upcoming ID camp? Is it legitimate? Do they really want to see you there? Do they want to get to know you better? Do they want to see you train and play with other kids in their prospective recruiting classes? Or are they trying to make money? That's what we have to try to decipher. So again, my recommendation is, if you're getting these things sent back to you, forward them onto us so that we can take a look. All right, let us walk through that process together. Because like I said, I don't want to see anybody on the call go through some of the things that I went through from a financial standpoint. And the other side of it too is, and like I said, I look at my 2 sons as they went through the process. It's emotionally crushing sometimes. And then as a parent, we're trying to help them through that. And I know we're not trying to have everything be super perfect for our kids all the time, that they have to learn from some of these things. But I know my one son, he wants to know, hey, is this something that I have a legitimate chance at? Great, let's go for it. If not, so hopefully everybody gets my point. Okay. Because like I said, what we don't want you to do is I just don't want everybody to throw all your money into going to all these ID camps because you think that there's a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. I think just we need to be smarter about things. I think there's a better way to do things than just to cut a check for $150 every 3rd weekend and you're off doing an ID camp somewhere. So hopefully everyone on the call understands that. Let us work together, okay? And we sort of said this on the last call too, and I actually put it on the slide for this time too, is we talked about having this money team. Who's your money team? Okay, so for all the players in our teams here, the money team should include who? It should include family members, right? Because they're going to help through the process. They're going to make sure that the college list gets created, that the spreadsheet exists, that they walk son or daughter through what are the things that are important in terms of choosing a school, size of school, location, so on and so on and so forth, all those things we talked about. All right, they're going to help through a little bit of that admissions process and making sure that they know the timelines for applications, make sure the CV is good and ready and proofed and highlights and so on and so forth. They're going to be the one that does the FAFSA. The FAFSA is not the easiest thing to do. So yeah, the parents are part of the money team. Who else is part of the money team? Well, the Tormenta coaches and staff should be a part of the money team too. Is that for me specifically, because I have a decent amount of experience on the college side, both as a coach and as a parent of two kids who played in the system, Division I and Division III, please include me in the process. More than willing to help. Like I said, that should be part of the money team. At the end of the day, all of it. Let me back up a step. High school personnel should be part of that money team as well. Those are teachers, counselors, potentially athletic director, and so on and so forth. So all those people sort of make up this money team for the student athletes who are under our care. This has to be a collaborative experience. We have to do this together, because at the end of the day, what we don't want it to be wrong, if that makes sense. I just talked to someone who was at our USL women's tryout today, trying out for our team. She's 23 years old, and I was asking her, so where are you? She's like, well, I still have 2 more semesters of school before I can get my undergraduate degree. Oh, why? What happened? Well, I went to this school, didn't work out. I had to transfer. When I transferred, they took none of my credits. So now all of a sudden she's transferring as a 20-year-old after being in school for 2 years, and none of her credits moved on to her next school. So now she's, minus the fact that she lost that money, basically. She lost that money, lost those credits, so she has to start over. All right, so she'll be 23, 24 by the time she gets her undergraduate degree because something went wrong earlier in the process. And like I said, I want to make sure that that doesn't happen to people on the call. So please include me in the money team. Let me help you any way that I can. All those things that we talked about on the call, just let me know. I'll help you every way that I can. Okay. I think lastly, before we get to any questions, again, this is the exact same slide from the first presentation. What's our overall strategy? And this is fluid as we go. Okay. But like I said, these are some of the things that we're trying to get everybody to understand. Here's how we want to start. Here's how we're going to try to build on this. But it's all these things, like we talked specifically on this call. The players, you have to drive the bus. If you want to play at the next level, you have to be the one that sort of starts this college list, does all those things that we talked about before to get that spreadsheet together, formulate that email, right? It has to come from you. It shouldn't be mom or dad typing and using their verbiage and vocabulary, and it's got to come from you. So if you need help proofing, let us know. But hey, the players have to send those emails with the CVs, with the highlights, with the schedules, do the follow-ups, so on and so forth. Okay. We said a slide or two ago, because we should be part of the money team, keep us informed. I said, whether it's me on the girls' side, some of the boys coaches on the boys' side, what have you, right? Let us know, let us be involved, let us help, because a lot of us have been through the process. A lot of us know people at the next level, all those things that we've been talking about, but keep us informed so that we can help guide you through this process in a timely fashion. That's critical. All right, specifically for point number 3, right? I have personally been in contact with some of the college coaches who have reached out directly to some of the girls on my 03 team before or coming out of the NCFC event. So I've deliberately gone over and introduced myself, or called them or emailed me. Hey, here's who I am. I understand you're interested in some of our kids, and I'll do whatever I can to promote the players under my care so that they're getting whatever they can get at the next playing, athletic scholarship, so on and so forth. Okay, but just know that we're going to be doing that. That's part of our job description. That's part of our role as a member of your money team. Okay, specifically, we're going to host the ID camps again here at Tormenta. They've done them in the past. I heard that they were very, very successful. So we're going to continue that again this January. The boys ID camp will be Saturday, January 22nd. Should be at Jennifer Ross. Brad, correct me if I'm wrong. Majority's at Jennifer Ross. I think lunch is off site with College Coach Talk. The girls ID camp will be Saturday, January 29th. I think all that stuff's up on the website. The coaches now are in the process of trying to gather college coaches to come to the event and watch our kids firsthand on the fields here, get to know them here, which I think is a little bit different because we will be able to control it better than you trying to go somewhere else. I said we had a player on my O3 team. She went to a sort of a conglomerate type of college ID camp in Colombia today, and unfortunately reported back that it wasn't the best. So it is what it is. We learn that kind of thing. But like I said, we're trying to bring people here so that we can manage it a little bit better. Okay. Like we said, we have a lot of our teams, in these older age groups doing the college showcases, doing that circuit. That's critical. So parents on board know that, more often than not, what's the easiest way to generate that connection between college coaches and our players is, unfortunately, we're going to have to get on the road and get to some of these showcases, right? I mean, we as a staff are discussing what's the sort of the best course to take with that. We don't want to, I don't think there's any need for us to do, hey, we're going to do 17 showcases this year, and we're flying to California, and then we're flying to Texas, and then we're flying to Indianapolis, and we're driving down to Miami. We're going to be selective about what we do, but it is critical that we get our players in front of where the college coaches are. I mean, it is rare to impossible. I don't think it happens really at all for a college coach to come. You're not going to see a college coach come to Tormenta for one game. One coach is not going to come watch one game. Coach is not going to come to a high school game. Guaranteed that. So we have to take ourselves on the road to get to where the college coaches are. So the good thing is for the teams that went to NCFC, I think there was over 300 college coaches at all those levels that we talked about in that second slide. We're all there. I know for our games in particular, we had coaches of all those levels watching our kids. Great. Those are things we have to do. Okay. And like I said, lastly, for me, if you include us in that sort of that money team conversation, just know that we have all the staff here has relationships with current college coaches. That speaks volumes. And like I said, for me, specifically on the girls' side, I've had 5 or 6 conversations legitimately here in the last 5-6 days where I've been talking to college coaches going, hey, yes, I'm interested in your player for our USL women's team. Here, can we close the loop now? Hey, if you need something, if you need a player, let me know. I can help you with the players that are interested from our youth side of the academy. I can help place players with you. And it has worked for those kids. We have a couple that are going on and having those meetings and meeting the coaches on campus and doing the overnights. It has happened where we have some kids that are on college visits this weekend. One's in New Hampshire looking at a school and is going to get a very good athletic scholarship offer from NCFC. We have actually two kids from the O3s are doing that this weekend up in New Hampshire. So these are things, and this is real. That part is real, but if you don't include us in your money team, it may not happen. So like I said, I don't know if I could stress that enough. Let us in, let us help. You just don't know. Like I said, for Leo's situation with him and University of Pennsylvania, I know Brian Gill personally. I've known him since he was 20 years old. All right, this was 1999 is when I coached Brian. So that's how we got that connection. So I don't know if I can drive that point home enough. Let us help. We want to help. Okay, I don't want anybody to make the same mistakes that I've made as a parent of soccer players. We're going to figure this out together, but at the end of the day, we want to make sure your son or daughter gets to the school of their choice, hopefully playing soccer for 4 years, if not more. And if we can get some athletic scholarship money along the way, if they're at those levels that do offer that, that's what we're shooting for. But like I said, the other side of it too is I want to make sure that no one ends up in a situation like that female player that I had that conversation with today, where she's 23, had to transfer, still isn't done school, lost all the credits, lost all the time, lost all the money. That's the sad story that I don't want to hear being on this side, if that makes sense. So I think that's all from me. Don't know if anybody has any questions that they want to ask on the call.
If anybody has any questions, feel free to unmute and fire away at Jim.
We covered it all, Brad. We covered it all.
You are the man.
I am not the man, but that was a lot, which was good.
Well, Jim, I appreciate it. Thank you for putting this on. I'll have it on our YouTube channel, and then I'll share it on social media and on everybody's email so that they can catch up and see what's going on.
No, that's perfect. No, thank you again for everyone's time tonight. Just in terms of what to expect in the future, our goal is to do these seminars as best quarterly possible. All right, so we have this one in December. The next one may come up somewhere in late February, and then we'll try to do one in late May, and then sort of back on that timetable again for late August, early September. So our goal as a club is to do 4 of these a year. Each of the 4 will have distinct new information, sort of timely to that window. You saw how this one was sort of toward that application, FAFSA, so on and so forth. That was sort of the meat and potatoes of this one, as well as emailing college coaches because of the showcase stuff that goes. So that's what we're trying to do. So the next call will have some stuff that's specific to the spring window. The May one will have stuff specific to summer camps and summer college visits and so on and so forth. So whatever we can do to help, please let me know. Like I said, you have my email, phone number. If you have a question that you don't want to answer on the call, ask on the call, just reach out to me directly. I'll help you every way that I can. But thanks again for everyone's time tonight.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Organizing
Thank you.
this.